Thank you very much for your business. It was a pleasure meeting you. Please find the recording from the survey. Some files may be upside down. I apologize for that. This is just a recording. I will then, in a week's time, if you can send me your data from the data loggers a week after the survey, I will then start to compile the final survey depending on what has been found from the data loggers. It will be much shorter with me speaking over the various elements that I want to describe. I will send an email with recommendations written out as well.
Which would be here, and then it eventually goes into the wall and comes through.
And that was just left in the wall and then bypassed?
Yes, correct. The electrician bypass or gas specialist bypass.
So we're talking about the gas
Correct.
the original gas pipeline, which could be embedded in this wall somewhere. So we'll think about that.
Okay.
So it's the thermal imaging camera where blue is colder. It's a relative reading, so it's showing 16.9 there.
That glass there is from you.
Oh, thank you. And 14 there. This feels like suspended timber floor in there. So it's the bathroom, and then this area here is going down to 12.1. And actually, if we open up this section here, but in winter you may get different relative temperatures. And then we'll hiya.
You can come in.
So I'll just no. So I'll be only a second. I'm done. I'll leave you.
Give it up. No.
This is the kitchen area. So I'm using this method to test for a leak. So far so good. I'm going to speed up by opening it up. We'll come back and have a look in about 20 minutes, but you can see the waters at the top of the lip. So that's obviously been made worse by the mirror that's causing, it's the evaporation can't take place. It's an internal wall, plasterboard. And what I'm just trying to find out is if there's a leak at all. So this is a false wall. This is plasterboard. So it's what is it?
Keep going that way, you'll see. Yeah, there we go. So this might have originally.
So
been
that's
here, but this
false,
was
and that maybe is the original brick, or
Yeah.
do you think it's?
I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't have that specific info. But you can
Yeah, I'd say that your original entrance was there,
Yeah.
and that this was installed. So presumably there's an RSJ that's supporting a beam across there.
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. Yeah.
So this may well be an RSJ down the centre, which could be the reason.
Okay.
Because what happens is you get heat loss from the metal, and it's going down into the cold soil below.
That makes sense. I'm not sure, to
So-
be honest. I will need to get the confirmed it, yeah.
I mean,
That
so
sounds
what
right.
I would say is that when you've got a leak or penetrating damp, so that's rainwater that's come through, normally you get a brown stain.
Okay.
So when you don't have a brown stain, it normally indicates that it's condensation.
Okay.
And it's very unusual to have condensation on internal wall. There's normally a reason why you've got it. And a cold metal RSJ would be a reason why you have it. It's not the solution, it's the explanation. But so this is suspended timber floor.
Correct, yes, and we know that because we did have a leak here. Was it a year ago? Maybe 2 years ago. I say because we only moved here 2.5 years ago, but we had these tiles redone because when we moved in there was cracks.
Yeah.
Turns out we realised why there were cracks is because the timbers were breaking, the timber beams were breaking because there was a leak and they're rotting, and eventually the tiles were breaking in. So we got the tiles replaced only because we were trying to replace cracked ones, but we figure out, I think a rat had, the architect or whatever thought there was a rat that bit into the pipe, and had been spraying water for like who knows how long, years, must have been years because the things were so rotten. We never actually opened this side up, we just literally just replaced the tiles at that point. But to answer your question, yes, it is just timber beams that
But timber, was it rotten?
that was rotten and was replaced, yeah.
So, but just literally this area here?
This whole area, yeah.
But not elsewhere?
Not beyond there.
So anyway, you've got a cold water pipe that runs through there.
Okay.
Well,
I believe so, yeah. I think, I don't know, I'm assuming so, because...
The only other one is the heating system. Do you have to top up your heating system at all? No, okay. And, I mean, some of them don't actually need to be topped up. Is it this one here?
Yes, that would be our heating system in that cupboard.
So it shows the pressure there.
Yeah.
And it looks like you have a...
In the past we've had to, but this, as I mentioned, when we had the gas leak, we got this changed because there were 2 gas leaks. There's one in the pipe for the old boiler, and then obviously the internal wall. So this is still new. We've not had to increase the...
And that's what, how old do you think?
We got this like October, November.
Okay, so 6 months, so you haven't had to top it up then.
Yeah.
Okay, so that suggests that your heating system isn't leaking, basically.
Yeah.
So you've got a render crack to the front. It looks like it's relatively well protected, but just be aware that you can get rain through that. I'm going to look down there now. So it's open to the rain here, plus you've got a pipe just flowing from that area there, and there's no obvious place to drain to. I don't think you have a drain to the front. If you do, it's blocked up and water will find its way under the soil to the front. I don't think that's causing problems. You've got suspended timber floor and your air bricks are blocked up with paint, which is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. That suggests to me that it's been damp proofed at some stage, but maybe not. There's a crack there. Vertical cracks are less of an issue than horizontal ones. There's obviously a crack there, and then this one is free of flowing, so that's good. And that one's relatively free of flowing. So you've got cracks around here that could let water in, rainwater in. This looks okay, albeit slightly old. I don't see risks, but you've got big cracks there that need to be filled. And obviously in here, so rainwater will flow down, and you can see it's collecting there, and then it's going in through these cracks and all the way down there. Some cracks there. This should be, you should have a fillet of cement all the way down. This should really be sealed up. render crack there above the doorway. And you want to see where water flows during a rainstorm as well. So that confirms dampness.
I'll try that.
You've got render cracks there. They're not penetrating the whole way through, but what can happen is you get a dampened wall. And a damp wall is a poor insulator. A damp brick loses heat rapidly, causing heat loss, increasing the risk of condensation. On this side it looks fine. Oh, there's some cracks there. This needs to be, there's a gap all the way around there. And there. It's cracked. So the cold water, there doesn't appear to be a leak on that. I'll just double check. So, no extractor in here. Yes, I was. Yeah, so it's showing 55, 22.5. Be interesting to see what the temperature and humidity difference in the subfloor is. But yeah, now I could get it. Bathroom extractor fan turns off immediately. I'll test to see how effective it is. Modern sophisticated fan that should work very well, but you've only got the wiring from the light. So when you switch the light off, it doesn't.
I think it stays for a few minutes, but that's it.
Well, I didn't do it just now.
Oh, it's amazing.
Try it.
Ah, it goes off, yeah. I don't know why I thought we had set it to keep on. But,
It's showing a speed of 10.56, something like that. So ideally it should show 15 litres a second, but because it's internal and you're going to have quite a long duct out, even the best fan in the world is going to have restriction. Yeah. And so, they make it to be, well, typically they make it to be 20 litres per second, but because of the length, it's going to be really difficult to get this well ventilated. Do you keep the door open or closed typically?
Generally open.
Okay, but which isn't ideal because you want the vapour to go out.
That way. Okay, so close it.
So I might as well start talking to you about some of the solutions.
Okay.
So just to say that you've got a few challenges. So are they tropical fish?
Yes.
So tropical fish are going to produce quite a lot of water. So how much do you put in sort of weekly?
Oh my gosh, we do a lot. Probably about 60 to 70 litres a week, probably.
60 to 70 litres a week? But you remove?
Yeah. So, sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah, so we remove because...
Yeah,
we
but even so, you will typically probably, I'm going to just say off the top of my head, a figure, but I went to a survey where they had a lot of tropical fish tanks and they had a huge amount of mould. And that's because twofold. One is obviously the water and the evaporation, but also because it's hot, you're going to get much more evaporation. I would say you're probably in the order of a litre a week of extra
potentially,
water.
but because we obviously replace it,
you're not really aware.
But I would say to point about that, I would say the plants in terms of some water that gets put in there is probably close to 2 litres, if not more a week.
So every litre of water you put into a plant is going to come back out as vapour. Yeah. I mean, to an extent it's the same with pets, but you don't have pets. So you've got 4 challenges, well maybe a few more. You don't work from home very often, but during COVID, when people were working from home, there was a huge increase in condensation and mold because people breathe and they cook and they have coffees and teas and so on. It all adds up. So the other thing is that you've got an open kitchen with no extractor fan, and neither of them. I mean, they're all lovely, but you have to be aware that cooking roughly contributes 1/4 of a litre per person per day, so 1/2 litre per day.
And we do cook a lot, to be honest. We're not one of these households that buy takeaways. We actually use the lot.
And if you like pastas and rice and potatoes and those sort of things, they produce a lot of vapour. Unless you cook with tops on pots and pans, you can reduce the temperature and cook with tops on pots and pans, but obviously it's less easy to see what's happening. But that reduces vapour from cooking by about 80%. So you get 1/4 of a litre per person per day from cooking, 1/2 litre per shower, and you want to keep the door closed. And so in the manual mode, what you just need to do is just keep the light on. Keep the light on until the humidity drops with the door closed. Drying clothes internally. I mean, when it's wet and you just got it out.
We try to put it out, as you can see, but not always possible. I mean, this is the rare occasion.
So run a dehumidifier. Now, so you've got dehumidifiers, but I think they're relatively small ones. So I'll have a look at them in a sec.
You think we need to get something more powerful?
20 litres per person per day.
Wow.
So you lived in South Africa. In Joburg, it's quite dry.
Yeah.
But
I'm not used to this kind of climate.
Used to it. Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, you know what? Cold, dry, it also have problems. You know, people from Eastern Europe or Sweden or whatever, where it's drier. But you've got to remember that when it's raining outside or generally it's quite humid outside, that all the vapour you're extracting, you're replacing with the vapour from the outside. So your efficiency is much lower than, say, in South Africa. I mean, in South Africa, you never really have a big problem anyway, but even in a cold, dry country, you can have the bathroom on for 20 minutes and the whole house is just completely dry. Yeah. Because you're replacing it with the dry air from the outside. But when it's humid outside, then you need to run it for like 3-4 times longer to get the same effect. The other one's respiration, 75 millilitres or 750 millilitres per person per day, 3/4 of a litre. And obviously if you're here, but that's just life. But you just have to be aware of it. And the thing I'm going to show you in a short while is the dew point, and it shows up on the data loggers.
Oh, really?
But dew point is a measure of the amount of vapour in air. So at the moment, today I've been measuring about 8 degrees centigrade as a dew point, and it's also the temperature where condensation takes place at.
When it's warm today, so I'm surprised it's so low, but it makes sense.
No, but it's good that it's low because it's also not particularly humid.
Okay.
It doesn't feel humid. It doesn't feel close outside. It's maybe higher by now, but the earlier readings I saw were about 10. You want to keep that temperature below the outside temperature.
Okay, you want it lower now.
You want it lower. Because what I believe is happening, and this may illustrate it. No, so it doesn't. But I believe you've got a metal RSJ that's supporting what was originally the maybe it's supporting the entrance there, or maybe it's supporting that. But it would be a typical thing to put in when you're changing. Going through here and then into the subfloor, and the subfloor is subject to external temperature because you've got the under air going from the air bricks front and back. You've also got metal coming in from the wire of the socket dropping into the subfloor as well, but that doesn't seem to be the issue. The issue is here plus the mirror, so it's a combination of factors. The mirror isn't the cause, the vapour's the cause, the metal is the contributing factor, and I'd say the mirror just slows down the evaporation. So this is evaporating quickly, this is, it's just stopping the evaporation.
Okay.
So, and the good news is that it's relatively simple to solve, and
Okay,
it will solve itself. In fact, if I were you, I would just leave this off for a while,
Okay.
and to dry it out.
Yep.
This will dry out in a matter of probably weeks. I mean, so a typical wall will take 6 to 9 months to dry out, but an internal wall in summertime will be quicker, and quite a lot of this is plasterboard.
Yeah.
So there's going to be very little pores to hold it back.
Okay.
So I would say what happened is it will dry from there.
Okay.
So that's quite good, or quite easy. These ones, again, I think it's primarily condensation, but you have got a few challenges on the outside. This plaster of beading is metal and it gets cold as well. Same principle.
Okay.
That's why you often get it around there. On the outside, it doesn't look too bad, but there are some cracks around there.
Yes.
And
cracks, yeah.
and I don't think they're causing penetrating damp, which is where water comes all the way through, because you get a brown stain. But what can happen is you get cold outside wall, wet outside wall causes reduces insulation, increases the risk of condensation.
Okay.
And then I went into the be careful, mate.
You're working your device.
I know. I'll have a better look at this, but the same principles are going to be there. I saw that you don't have a drain to the front, so water's coming down. So it's obviously open to the outside anyway, but in addition, you've got water being piped down from one of the bays up at the top into here, and you don't have any areas for drainage, but you've got lots of cracked concrete where the water can just go in. But I don't think that's causing any of the dampness here, but it's something that you should fix, and it would be a whole house issue, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you risk having humidity in the subfloor void and rot potentially.
Makes
But I think it's a fairly low risk, but I'm just telling you.
No, it's helpful to know. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But I think you're right. There is a pipe that drips water straight into there. You're right.
This runs just down there. The your subfloor vents, those ones are open, and that one is closed over there. Painted up.
That's what we wanted to actually check, because we think there's one there, but it's
painted up.
Okay.
Basically, it's not a huge deal, and to some extent, subfloor ventilation is there as a safety measure if water should get into the subfloor, like it can do here. If you don't have it, you have an increased risk of rot. So, I mean, ideally you open that up, but I have subfloor vents that I open and close, and in winter, when I quite often close them up because it reduces the heat loss.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
But what I do is I use one of these hygrometer probes, and I measure the subfloor relative humidity, so I can see at any time whether it's high, and if there's rot in the subfloor, you will end up getting high humidity. So the fish tank is showing 23 degrees, 24 degrees centigrade, which I guess is what you'd want it to be.
Tropical. Yeah.
Is it? Oh, you just got the one though, haven't you?
We've only got the one fish tank.
Yeah. But I was going to go to the front. That's 17. Start there. So this will be from condensation. Let's try. This lack of airflow is making it worse over there. You potentially got some penetrating damp. The wall feels like it's been damp proofed, which increases the risk of condensation. That trim breast seems to be okay. So you're looking for 20 litres per day. Is probably, I'll have a check, I'll have a look at it. So this is, this also stops as well. So the same rules apply. Just keep the dehumidifier, the extractor fan running, and you're always going to have a risk of penetrating damp in these zones, but you also, that musty smell will come from vapor. Obviously you've got various water gadgets here. You've got that, when you get a stain like that, that will be from water passing through brickwork, which can come from condensation forming on the wall, but it's more likely to come from penetrating damp. There's very little you can really do about it, other than stop the plasterboard touching the base and keeping it dry inside, and obviously filling any holes outside. These you've got a dryer and a washer, and dryers do throw out a certain amount of condensation in this cold environment because there's obviously no heating here, although this may well be insulated, but you've got metal that's coming from the outside, so you're going to have a risk of condensation and mould. And the extractor fan isn't working properly, well, it doesn't stay on. So that's a classic area at risk of condensation. I can't see any signs there as well. It's near to the bathroom as well. So this is the extractor fan. I can't obviously test the hole speed, but it's going to be restricted by this porcelain here and the plastic here. So it probably only runs at about a third of what you really need because of those problems.